honored to be here, to be in your company, to have your wonderful, inspiring association, and especially to have the chance to speak about the legacy of Yamuna Devi and this labor of love project of the Unalloyed book project. And especially I would like to offer my most prostrated obeisances and unlimited fount of gratitude to Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj for having me here and allowing me to take in the nourishment of what he has done with this community and what all of you sincere devotees have created here, an environment of blissful, deep, enthusing, encouraging, nurturing Krishna consciousness. This is so special and such a gift that it permeates the core of the heart, and you cannot help but be uplifted and yourself enthused and encouraged. So I thank you with deep appreciation and gratitude, and especially Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He was mentioning the extraordinarily strange odyssey of the fact that I'm sitting here right now. As he said, when I've been invited to come several places over the last years, but due to ill health, I've not traveled. And as he said, when I was asked to come here, it was always my way that someone would call and invite me to go to some place, and I would, very humbly, in a humble way, say, "I'd love to come. I'm sorry, but my health is ill." So I was getting ready to say that. To say no, and instead yes came out and said, and I thought, afterwards, what am I doing? What has happened that all of a sudden I'm going across the seas to Chowpatty for this book, and then I realized that actually perhaps I was inspired from within by Krishna, by Srila Prabhupada, by Yamuna Devi herself, because this community was very dear to her heart. She had not only a deep love and appreciation for Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, but for so many of you here, and so many of you served her. She was constantly enlivened, and it was one of her, if not her most favorite place to come. So I thought, yes, actually that is appropriate, and that's why I'm somehow was flown here unknowingly. Just happened, and here I came. So. I would like to start by offering the Om Jnana prayers, and then speak a little bit about how this project came about. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam yena bhutale Swayam rupa kadamayam Dadadi swapadantikam Deham Sri Guru Sri Jatapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajevam Sarvaitam Sarvadutam Purijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Shah Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deena Bandhu Jagat Paje Gopeshwaro Bhika Kanta Radha Kanta Ospute Saptakanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namam Chikapaturascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, as Maharaj mentioned before, Yamuna Devi had requested me to finish her writing about her, had she not been able to finish herself. But actually, what she had written was so bereft of the presence of Yamuna Devi within the pages that was very difficult to take from that. She, as he said, she was so humble and so lacking in a desire to for pratishta, for profit adoration and distinction, that she virtually wrote herself out of so many events that occurred in her life. And that was why she always found it difficult to write. She would constantly say, why do we need another book? And why would anyone want to hear about me and my life with Srila Prabhupada? But of course we all know why. Her life was extraordinary, not just with Srila Prabhupada, but in so many ways it was extraordinary, an extraordinary example of how to live a life as a devotee, of how to direct your life and build your character and give to others what you have received from your guru and what you have received from the other Vaishnavas and previous acharyas. So first of all, I would like to say that I have to offer my most humble thanks to our team leader, Kartamasha Das, who really is the driving force behind why the books were, every aspect of how the book has come about. We had a wonderful team of mostly second-generation devotees who translated hundreds of tapes, minuscule writings on pieces of paper that Yamuna had put here or there, translated talks from previous interviews she had given, talks in schools, interviews she gave for the cookbook. It was a massive undertaking to get as much information as we could so the book would be representative of her own words. And so the corpus of the book, which is in 2 volumes, as you can see up here, is that it is part memoir, and I took the position of writing the narrative and timetable and telling the stories that Yamuna did not tell. And then it is her words interspersed with her telling of all of the events that happened in her life. And then there is the addition of the memories of other devotees. So it is like a tapestry that is woven through the words and through the heartfelt experiences of many devotees. And so from beginning to end, it was a labor of love. It remains a labor of love, with everyone contributing their time, their energy, their output out of deep love for Yamuna. And I'm so thankful that every time I even think, you can see now, every time I even think of that, I become emotional, and because my heart is so full of gratitude and so full of joy, because Yamuna's story is a very important story to tell, as Maharaj was saying. And it's not just because of her experience with Srila Prabhupada, as outstanding as that was, as amazing as that was. What was even more extraordinary was that she took everything that he taught her, and he told her, you must teach others what I have given you. And so she learned from him. She wrote. Every time she sat with him, she was writing, or she was recording him, every time. And as Maharaj said, many of those were lost, but we were able to recapture many of them. And therefore, the telling is there in the book. And it is an honest, straightforward telling of her life with Srila Prabhupada, her service to him. But what was even more extraordinary, and the reason that we felt that the entirety of Yamuna's life was important to tell, is that those of you here who knew her saw with what joy and happiness she lived Krishna consciousness, but also the joy and happiness that she was able to convey to others and evoke within others. And that ability to take what is given from the spiritual master, this is how you execute Krishna consciousness, this is how you advance. And then whatever obstacles may come, you turn them into opportunities, and you use them as jump-off points, if you will, to further that advancement, so that ultimately you taste something so wonderful, this Krishna conscious, the gift of this Krishna consciousness. So Yamuna had that, and the book is an exploration, if you will, of how she reached that point. And then in the last part, the voices of so many people, especially the young people, expressing her impact on their Krishna consciousness and how she changed their lives, so to speak. So many wonderful books have been written about individual devotees' association with Srila Prabhupada, the personal association. But from a woman's point of view, from someone who has lived Krishna consciousness and given it to others with so much love and endless capacity for compassion and sharing, this is the legacy of Yamuna Devi, and that's why it's so important to tell her whole story. And it's an exciting story. She certainly didn't lead an ordinary life. She did so many wonderful things. So I brought some slides. I'd like to start speaking about the book. Just go back to the first one, please. It's in 2 volumes, as you can see, and every single writing and artwork that you see in this book is connected directly to Yamuna Devi. So on the back, these are mandalas that Yamuna Devi made in stained glass, and they're from Mathura, old buildings in Mathura that were collected by an English team and put in a book, an ancient book that Yamuna somehow found. And she made stained glass, beautiful stained glass artwork out of these mandalas, and we wanted to use them as part of the book. Go back to the first one, please. On the front, the title, that is also Yamuna Devi's personal calligraphy. She was a master calligrapher, and Srila Prabhupada used her talents many times to create everything from the initiation certificate that devotees in the early days used to get, to posters to invite people to come to programs, to, you'll see in the book there's one letter where Srila Prabhupada has drawn at the top of the letter what he wants this particular certificate to look like. And he drew a little Lord Chaitanya in the bottom and another little Radha and Krishna dancing, very small little pictures. So we've included that along with the result of Yamuna Devi's work. So the first volume is preparing an offering of love, using a cooking metaphor that we felt was appropriate. And then the second volume, offering the gift of bhakti to others. So we tried to keep to the same warm spice tones that were in colors that Yamuna Devi loved. And so you can go on now to the next page. Yes. This is an example of one of the chapters. This one from when the devotees went to London. And as you can see, they're all beautifully gold embossed. And we worked with our young graphic designer, another second generation devotee from Alachua named Raghunandini, who's extremely talented. And we would give her ideas, no, this is what we want, or this is what we want. And she would come with like 10 examples of, would you like this, or would you like this? And we were so happy with the result. We felt that she did an outstanding job. So from the very beginning, we've been referring to this as the Unalloyed Project. And in fact, our web page and our foundation is the Unalloyed Foundation and unalloyed.org. So if you go to the next one. The Collins Dictionary defined unalloyed as not mixed or intermingled with any other thing. Another dictionary, complete and reserved. Srila Prabhupada's definition, Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayechu velochayanti. Now people say that whether God can be seen, if anyone has seen God, yes, God can be seen, there's no doubt about it, but it requires only one qualification. God is so kind that He does not require any material qualification. He does not require you should be very learned man, very beautiful, nor rich man, or king or emperor or minister or president. No, nothing of the sort. You can be anything, but only one qualification required. That qualification is unalloyed love. That's all. One who has achieved that unalloyed love for God. Unalloyed love means without any tinge of philosophical speculation or fruitive activity, without any tinge of material color. So I loved that definition, and another place that it came up, because of my own challenges, I started researching one verse that, you can go on to the next, one verse that Srila Prabhupada quoted so often, from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 14, text 8, and that's the famous Tate nukampam susumikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvag vapur bir vidadan namaste jiveto yo mukti pade sadhaya bhak. So Srila Prabhupada, as many of you may know, he passed on after finishing the last verse of the 13th chapter of the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Lord Brahma is stealing the cows. And this verse appears in the next chapter, the text 8. But fortunately, in several other places, Srila Prabhupada translated this verse, and he also used it in many of his lectures. One place that it's used is in the talks between Maharaj Rahugana and Jad Bharat. Another place is with the prayers of Gajendra when he was in deep trouble. And a favorite of mine is in the prayers of the demon Vritrasura when he was fighting with Lord Indra on the battlefield. And then where I actually finally decided on unalloyed, to use unalloyed, was in the deliverance of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there, Srila Prabhupada translates the same verse in a little bit different way. And that is, just go to the right here. One who seeks, the regular translation that we all hear so often is, just to the left please, this way. One who, my Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So that is how we often hear that verse translated. But in his purport, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada translates the same verse thusly: one who seeks your compassion and thus tolerates all kinds of adverse conditions due to the karma of his past deeds, who engages always in your devotional service with his mind, words, and body, and who always offers obeisances unto you, is certainly a bona fide candidate for becoming your unalloyed devotee. So that, without color, without a tinge of material color, this so perfectly describes Yamuna Devi from the very beginning. And I knew her for 37 years. I was her companion. I never knew her to deviate even slightly from the desire to please Srila Prabhupada with all of her actions. And I say that openly, and it's simply a statement of fact. One of the things that she said so often, at least once a day, was, how would Srila Prabhupada want me to handle this? What would Srila Prabhupada want me to do in this particular situation? This was so much there because she wanted to use her life in such a way that Srila Prabhupada would be pleased with her. So in that particular story, that Lord Chaitanya has delivered Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Srila Prabhupada later gave a lecture, and I'm just going to read the last part of it. His lecture was in 1976, and I thought this was so beautiful. And he's commenting on the fact that, if you don't know the story, after Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was a great impersonalist, became a devotee by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, he brought this verse, the Tatenu Kampam verse, before Lord Sri Chaitanya, and he had changed the word Mukti Pade to Bhakti Pade. And when Lord Chaitanya saw that, he said, why have you changed? So in one sense, it was an expression of how determined now Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was to see bhakti behind everything, you know. But Lord Chaitanya was not pleased that he had changed the word, because he said, actually in this context, mukti means bhakti. So we don't want to tamper with what has been written in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So on a lecture speaking on this, and this very much points to Yamuna Devi and her journey. He says here, and this is September 13th, 1976. So they were directly connected with Krishna, and they had to suffer the material pangs. Not that because one is Krishna conscious, there will be no material suffering. Actually, those who are Krishna conscious, they have no material suffering. Although it appears that they are suffering, they are not suffering. They can accept any so-called suffering and accept it as the mercy of Krishna. They never take it as suffering. Tattenu kampam susumikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam. A devotee, when he's in suffering, so-called suffering, he accepts it as the mercy of Krishna, tattenu kampam, and he rather thinks, Krishna, I had to suffer many more times, but you've minimized it, giving me only a little suffering, so that is your mercy. And if anyone lives in that attitude, taking everything as Krishna's mercy, then he is guaranteed to go back home, back to Godhead. Mukti pade sadayabak. Dayabak means his going back home, back to Godhead, is exactly like the inheritance of property by the son. So we should learn from the Pandavas that Krishna was always present with them. Still, they had to suffer so much material tribulation. So they were never unhappy. Neither they requested Krishna that, my dear friend Krishna, you were always with us. Still we had to suffer. Never expressed that. That is pure devotion. Never try to take any benefit from Krishna. Simply try to give benefit to Krishna. This is pure devotion. So when I read that, this was Yamuna Devi, personified, exemplified. She never asked Krishna for material benefit. And she had learned at a very early age to try to see the challenges that she had to endure in the light of this in the light of this text and in the light of this verse, because Yamuna had many challenges in her life and she had to overcome many obstacles, as most of us do. But it's how we interpret those obstacles, as Srila Prabhupada is saying here. How do we convert those obstacles into opportunities for growth in our spiritual life? And my prayer and hope is that through this book you will see very clearly how it was done by seeing the example of Yamuna Devi, because it is categorized and cataloged chronologically from beginning to end, from the beginning of her life to the end. So you can go on. So this is just a picture of one devotee yesterday approached me and said, had been looking through pictures in the book, and she said, I was so astonished at how many pictures there were of Yamuna with Srila Prabhupada. And close to Srila Prabhupada, she's either picking rocks out of his shoe or she's putting garlands on him, so many things like that. And she served him very closely for many, many years as his servant. She did everything but his personal massages. And every time she was with him, if she wasn't directly serving him, she was writing what he was saying to try to take everything in. So this is one picture. A wonderful story around this picture in San Francisco is that Srila Prabhupada gave her that sari. And it was the only one of two saris she had. And she tells the story at one place in the book that one of the things about Yamuna Devi is she was extremely meticulous and clean. She was, Srila Prabhupada had trained her how to be so clean. And I grew used to that, being her companion. There were things that stunned other people that I never thought about. I was thinking about one incident the other day. Srila Prabhupada taught her that the bottom of the pan must be as clean as the top and the sides. So we were going to an engagement one day, and I was wearing a white sari, and we were bringing prasadam to the engagement, so I was carrying the pot, and I went to sit down, and I just dropped the pot onto my sari, and there was a collective gasp that went up from all the people in the room. Oh, you're ruining your sari. You know, you've placed this pot on your sari. But for me, I didn't even think twice about it, because I knew that the bottom of the sari would be as clean as the top of the bottom of the pan would be as clean and spotless as the sides and the top. There would be nothing on there. So everything that Srila Prabhupada taught her, she carried throughout her entire life. And so every night she would wash her sari and she would carefully iron it. So she had the two saris. And so one time she walked into his room, and Srila Prabhupada looked at her and he said, every day I'm seeing you in a new sari. You have so many beautiful saris. Every day I'm seeing a new sari. So she tried to explain to him, no, Srila Prabhupada, you gave me this sari, you know. So, but that was the nature. So this was just one picture to show their relationship and something about the sari. So go. Yeah. This is the inside jacket of the book, and I put this here to show, again, this is Yamuna's artwork. This is the stained glass panel, approximately 3 feet tall by 4.5 feet wide, that took Yamuna about 4 months to make out of stained glass. And it's magnificently done, and our wonderful graphic designer, we asked if she could use the colors of the patinas the palette that we had chosen, and use that as an inside jacket cover, and she did, and it came out beautifully. And the next picture is the actual backdrop. If you can make that a little larger, yes. So this is the actual deity backdrop made out of stained glass. You can see how anything Yamuna took her hand to turned out beyond extraordinary. I really don't know anything that she tried to do that she didn't master in this way. She had never done stained glass before, and this was like the second thing that she ever did. And as you can see, it's very large, and she wanted a Vrindavan scene, and you can see Nanda Maharaj up there, and the cowherd boys and the gopis, and yes, so I was very happy to see that in the actual book. So you can go. Next. Oh, back? There. Is that the next one, or is it the one with the both? Yeah. This is Yamuna as a child with her mother and father. Very difficult childhood. That father left, and he came back only long enough to give one more child to the mother, and that was Yamuna's younger sister, Janki. And if you go to the next one, there they are. Yamuna, as a matter of fact, that face on Janki is very well known. She has always been very what's the word? Frank. Always been very frank, and she also has that creative artistic ability that Yamuna also had. So she could do extraordinary, many wonderful things with her hands. So this is them when they were young girls. There. Go on. Now this is an amazing story. Yamuna got this passport as soon as she got back from New York to San Francisco. And she had been planning to go to India even before she went to New York for her sister's wedding. She had this desire that was pulling her there. So when she got back to San Francisco, she immediately went to get a passport. And she told Srila Prabhupada, and she tells the story herself in the book, that she was going to go to India. She sat in front of him, I'm going to India, and I'm going to Tibet. She was going to go to Tibet. And so Srila Prabhupada said, you want to go to Tibet? Yes, Srila Prabhupada, I want to go to Tibet. And well, why do you want to go to Tibet? I want to go to the highest place, like that. And Srila Prabhupada said, looked at her very seriously, and he said, I can take you to a higher place than Tibet. And then he said, just see. Just see. And she just saw. So next. And this is in San Francisco. You can go to the next. Yes, this is one of my favorites. Srila Prabhupada used Yamuna, found out about her calligraphy experience, and used her to make posters to put up, to invite people to come to the temple in San Francisco when they made it. So how many of you would be attracted by a poster that invited you with the line, "This material body is a lump of ignorance, and the senses are networks of paths to death. Our true identity is pure spirit soul in a loving relationship with Krishna. You are invited to hear His Divine Grace A.C. Swami." So she did many of these calligraphic invitations and posters, and by Krishna's grace we were able to find them and preserve them. So, okay. The next. Well, this is an amazing photograph, and perhaps Shyamasundar Prabhu has spoken to you a little bit about this. First Ratha Yatra on the flatbed truck. If you look closely, Shyamasundar, with a big smile on his face, is driving the truck, and right next to him, also with a big smile on his face, is his dog. So his dog, you can see that. You don't know if you can see the German Shepherd in the passenger seat of the van, but it shows you how how little knowledge and how what is the word I'm looking for? How unprepared for what Krishna consciousness entails that these devotees were. And even worse, Srila Prabhupada was staying at Stinson Beach at the time because he had had a heart attack. And they were going to drive the truck up to Stinson Beach. And as they were chanting along the way, someone put some drug in Yamuna and Janki and one other devotee's juice that they were drinking. And they went to another world, but not the spiritual world. So they were not able to go to Stinson Beach to see Srila Prabhupada. And when he just got there, he immediately asked for them. Where are they? You know, where have they come? And someone had to explain to Srila Prabhupada that they had been unfortunately altered and were not able to go. There's a wonderful story about Stinson Beach as well. I was mentioning Janki, who was holding the microphone there. And when they were preparing the rooms for Srila Prabhupada in Stinson Beach, someone sent from New York a painting that Tarini Devi had done of Lord Nrsingadev in his most fierce aspect. So there's Lord Nrsingadev, and Hiranyakashipu is on his lap, and the blood and the guts are everywhere, and the garland of intestines. And as soon as Janki saw it, she said, "I'm not putting this up in here. You know, this is terrible. You know, So she pulled out a piano that was in the house, and she stuck the picture behind to hide it, so no one would be there. So somehow they were moving things around when Srila Prabhupada was in there, and he said, "What's that?" You know, he saw there's something behind there. "What is that?" And Janki said, "Oh, it's nothing, Srila Prabhupada, you know, nothing, you know." And so, "Well, bring that out." And so he brought it out, and she said, "How can we put that awful picture, you know, in here?" Is it devotees? Nobody knew anything then, you know, about Lord Nrsingadev, and so Srila Prabhupada had to explain the importance of Lord Nrsingadev, and the picture was put up there. But yeah. So Yamuna tells many nice stories in the book from this period of time. You can go on. And I'm literally just giving a taste. There are 900 pictures in the book, and Kavi says, I'm just giving you a slight taste of what's there. So every day they would go out on kirtan. There is Vishnu Jan Swami sitting next to Yamuna chanting, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj standing behind chanting, and this is their Mukunda Maharaj over on the far left. And every day they would go out, and this is where they were learning. One of the things that they were doing is they were learning to actually practice how to become a cohesive kirtan group together. And it was something that Yamuna enjoyed very much. And they would sit out there for hours and hours chanting. So nice. Okay. Okay, this is one of my favorite letters. So this looks like an ordinary letter. The top has been cut off for the sake of the book. It actually is from a steno pad. You know what a steno pad is, where you flip the top over and it's got the spiral note, and there are lines on it, so you can't see the lines on here either. So there was a time that Mukunda and Janki, Mukunda Swami now and Janki, went to Los Angeles when Yamuna was in San Francisco to serve Srila Prabhupada there. And then one day, this letter came for Yamuna and Gurudas. And it says, "Dear Gurudas and Yamuna Devi, be good boy and girl, and always chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and you will be so pleased with the result. Yamuna, you are a little better than Janki, but don't get puffed up, and be good and be good to those a little less fortunate. Gurudas, your work is so nice, and you are a very important member of our society. You and your wife work well there. If you and your wife will work well, there will never be any problems. Your ever well-wisher." And then he signs it, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So this letter is actually put as it looked in the book. And you would just think, well, that's a bit of an unusual letter if you didn't know the story behind it. And the story behind it is that the person who is writing that letter is Janki. So this shows so much about Srila Prabhupada's nature and how loving he was to his spiritual daughters, and what a sense of humor he had, you know, to actually, because he knew Janki was a little feisty, you know. She was, as I said, very frank and a little bit feisty, and she spoke her mind. She was, you know, she was of that nature. And so the fact that he called her in and said, "Take this letter," and that she wrote that, and then sent it actually to Yamuna and Gurudas, was so indicative of Srila Prabhupada's nature, which was humorous and loving, and sharing something that was very special ultimately to both of them, to all of them, you know. Oh, to change? Oh, that would be better. Oh, is there a change? I can change?
No, there's a place we can show that if you want to find that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Next. This is their arrival in London. And they worked very hard to, again, become a cohesive group, so that when they chanted, it would be pleasing as well as delivering the holy name. And that was one of the early pictures from their chanting together there. Okay. This is one of, again, another favorite. This is at Tittenhurst Park, the estate of John Lennon. Yamuna used to wait and sit at the bottom of the stairs, and Srila Prabhupada, she acted as his servant along with one boy, Purushottam Das. And she would, whenever they would get ready to walk, she would get her cloak out, and she would sit Prabhupada would chant on his harmonium, and she would sit at the bottom of the stairs. And sometimes he would just sense that she was there, and he would say, "Yamuna," and she would say, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada, you are liking what I am chanting?" "Yes, Srila Prabhupada, very much." "Then you can come in." He said, you can come in. So next. Yes. So here Srila Prabhupada is giving Yamuna his coat after a walk back from John Lennon's estate. Yeah. Next. And this is that same famous series of photos taken by Guru Das. Yamuna and Srila Prabhupada walking on the estate at John Lennon's, and there are so many wonderful stories around these walks. Yamuna tells some of them in the book about Srila Prabhupada talking about the ghosts, so many ghosts in the trees there, and can you see them? And she would say, no, I can't see. There's so many ghosts here. So, yeah. This is another famous picture where Srila Prabhupada said, a rock has jumped into my boot. And if you look at Srila Prabhupada's boot, these are not small shoes. These are what are called in England wellies. You know, they're big. They're rubber boots and big. And the rock got in there, and Yamuna was taking the rock out, and then they walked more, and he stopped again, and he said, another rock has jumped into me. She couldn't understand how the rock was getting in there, you know. But she would patiently take them out, and if I know Yamuna, she probably kept the rocks as well sometime. So, go on. This is a very famous picture. If you study Yamuna's face in that picture, you can see the look of confusion on her face. It's like a look of what's going on here. This is an amazing and very famous story, and the fact that a picture captured this moment is revolutionary, because the system was that they usually held this was at Conway Hall. Srila Prabhupada usually led one stanza of the Hare Krishna mantra, the devotees would reply, and then Yamuna would lead the next stanza, and then the devotees would reply, and then they would go back and forth like that. So right in the middle of the kirtan, all of a sudden, Srila Prabhupada, when it came to his turn, he stopped, and he then said, Narada Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramana Namne. And Yamuna is looking at him. She's, what? What? She has that look on her face. And he continued chanting his stanzas. And then afterward, Yamuna approached him and said, Srila Prabhupada, what were you singing? Why were you singing like that? And Srila Prabhupada said, Narada Muni came to our kirtan. And then he said to her, you did not see him? No, Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Narada Muni came to the kirtan. So he was honoring, Srila Prabhupada could see, we could not see. They could not see, but he was honoring Narada Muni for coming to the kirtan. I love this picture because you can see from Yamuna's face that she's completely thrown off by what Srila Prabhupada is doing. Very priceless. There's just a picture of Srila Prabhupada deeply absorbed in his chanting. And this is where they're dancing. They went around the whole hall like this with Srila Prabhupada just up and dancing. And you can see Janki is in the background. Yamuna is playing the harmonium with a big smile. They weren't expecting it. And he was just so absorbed. It's certainly one of the greatest treasures to be in Srila Prabhupada's presence when he danced like that. Yeah, so amazing. This is again Tittenhurst. Srila Prabhupada is giving instruction. You can see Yamuna has her book. This was indelibly with her whenever she went, was having the book so that she could write down any instruction that Srila Prabhupada gave, like that. So this is Yamuna with George Harrison. They had built this. This was in his what passed for his temple, And you can see he has many different, there's Lord Ram and deities, and he was showing her, speaking to her about, I don't know about what, but showing her his temple. This is from a newspaper article where George is, they've already created the Radha Krishna Temple Band. And I loved what they said here. They said, George Harrison introduces Hare Krishna mantra, an audience participation number by the Radha Krishna Temple Band. Smoother than the Fugs version a year earlier, this had been released by Apple to crack the British top 20 over autumn 1969. So it was a very special time, and there's a large portion of the book dedicated to that period in time, which is very wonderful. And this is the famous picture, everyone has seen this, of them chanting together. Yes. And that's the their album, the Radha Krishna Temple album, with Govindam. Okay. And that's what it looked like, that's what their temple looked like on Berry Street. Shyamasundar designed it and imported all this wood, and it kind of looked like the inside of a ship for some reason. Not quite sure why, but he worked very diligently at it. And next. Okay, this is a famous series of photos in the Hamburg airport. This is just a beginning one that you'll see here. There's Shyamasundar Das in the background. You can go to the next one. There's a series of them. You can see Yamuna is looking at Srila Prabhupada's cane at the bottom. And Srila Prabhupada is, the whole series of pictures are in the book. Srila Prabhupada is picking at a piece, a splinter of wood on the bottom of the cane. And of course, Yamuna is eagle-eyed on trying to get any nectar that she can from Srila Prabhupada. So she's watching him, so you can go ahead. So he takes the splinter off, and he gives it to the servant. And Yamuna immediately gets that splinter, and she kept that splinter for years and years and years. So you can go, I think there's the final one, yeah. She's sitting there chanting with him. He has the splinter in his hand, piece of wood. He's giving it to the servant, and Yamuna is acting like she's not interested. But then, as soon as the splinter is gone, she gets it and keeps it. So this was a very special time, a very short visit to Hamburg. You see, the servant has the splinter, and Yamuna is looking. So, this picture, I don't really know in what specifically Srila Prabhupada was speaking about here. There were many rides in cars where Yamuna was in the back, and Srila Prabhupada would tease her from the front. And often he would quote the Chanaka Pandit verse, never trust a woman or a politician, you know. And Yamuna she knew he was teasing her. You know, he would just turn around and would say, never trust a woman or a politician. And Yamuna would say, yes, Srila Prabhupada, you're absolutely right. Yeah. And he would do that 2 or 3 times, and then he would turn around and he would look at her and he would say, but you are not a woman. You are a devotee. You know, you are a Vaishnava. But the other time that was so amazing is when you can stop there now. When they got to India, they were in Delhi, and Yamuna was riding in the car, and they had reached India by the time the Radha Krishna Temple album came out. And they had done their Govindam as a single, but the whole album, they had already reached India, and the album had come out. Srila Prabhupada, of course, had heard it, you know. So this one time they're riding in a car, and very nonchalantly Srila Prabhupada turns around to Yamuna and says, "The words are wrong." No, very simply, the words are wrong. What, Srila Prabhupada? You have sung the words wrong. It doesn't make any sense. And she couldn't believe it. He said, it is Bhaja Hare Mana, not Bhaja Mana Hare. That does not make any sense, you know. So Yamuna realized then that he had heard her chanting Bhaja Hare Mana, and she had chanted Bhaja Mana Hare on the album, because she had only ever heard Srila Prabhupada chant it. We didn't have songbooks in those days. And even then, she was not chanting to be recorded. So years later, someone came up to her and said, "Who's that man chanting Bhaja Hare Mana wrong on the tape? Because her voice is so low." And the reason was that she was in the studio after all the recording was done, and she was sitting by herself playing the harmonium. And you can hear, if you listen to that recording, you can hear that she's going like that. She's doing the harmonium, no keys, but she's hitting with a hand like this. So she's playing this, and then she's hitting, keeping time like this. And she didn't know anyone was recording it, but George Harrison decided to record her chanting that. And it was late at night. Her voice went down when she was tired, and he recorded it. And after she had finished singing, he said, "That's a wrap," or something like that, you know, something to that effect. And she was stunned. She had no idea that it was recorded. So there are several stories in the book about Srila Prabhupada in cars with Yamuna, teasing her in some way, sharing something with her. And you can see by his face that there's a little bit of that look in his face, you know. Yeah. So next. Now, this is the World Sankirtan Party arriving in India, in Mumbai. This is the Srila Prabhupada arriving, and you can see all of the banners the devotees made before they flew over. I did a lot of research about the famous flight over from England and Hamburg, where the devotees where they had originated from. And suffice it to say, they got here by Krishna's mercy alone. It was such a dangerous experience on many levels, which you can read about in the book. It's a humorous story, but it's also a very poignant story. So they had made these banners and were received well immediately in Mumbai. Srila Prabhupada was so happy with how he was received when they arrived there. And this is also where I think, where's Yadubara? Did you meet Srila Prabhupada in Surat or in Mumbai? Surat, yeah. Yeah. Okay, go on. Yeah. So, I think this is Surat, isn't it? Yaduvara? Yeah, this is their traveling Sankirtan party, and they went to so many places, and wonderful things happened in each place, and we've covered each one of the kirtans and meetings and preaching engagements, and it was really a highlight in all of their lives. You know, so wonderful. So this, did you do this film, this little film at the Mathura Junction? Durlab took them. This is just a very short film of the devotees ecstatically chanting, and this was the first time Yamuna set foot in the Holy Dham. And it was just from a stop a 5-minute or 10-minute stop at the railroad station on their way, and you can see how moved she is, and they were such an anomaly to all of the indigenous Indian Brijbasis who lived in that area, that you can see they're looking stunned. A white woman coming there then was just something very unusual, very, very unusual. But she was very absorbed, and on the same train ride, Srila Prabhupada called them into his car when they were going past Kurukshetra and said, this is where the Battle of Kurukshetra is, a holy ground. So they all, right in the middle of the train, bowed down and offered obeisances. So, you can go. This is Surat. So much welcome by the devotees. They were just inundated with garlands and invitations, and you can see in between the Yamuna writes about how in between the houses they strung the saris and strung garlands and leaf garlands to welcome them, and everyone came out of their homes to give them gifts and garland them, and it was extremely special. Mm. No. Go on. These are just pictures of programs where Yamuna is leading kirtan. That was another thing that was so unusual, is that Srila Prabhupada would always ask her to lead kirtan. And she did not like to take that position. But Srila Prabhupada understood, not only did she have a wonderful, a beautifully evocative and resonant voice, but again, it was the drawing power of seeing a white woman chanting Hare Krishna on a stage in front of so many people, and it was something that was a regular feature of their travels. That was the other thing that Yamuna did, was these are the little Yamuna deities, and she would, in these programs, she would bathe and dress these deities. You would have an Abhishekam, usually with Nanda Kumar Prabhu, and she enjoyed this very much, and then they would have a wonderful kirtan, and Srila Prabhupada would speak, and like that. And this is a famous picture of them meeting with Indira Gandhi. Yamuna met with her 2 or 3 times. She described her as being cordial but very busy, very involved in serious problems that were going on at that time. If you remember, this was during very close to the emergency, what was called the emergency here in India, where the privy purses had been taken from the Maharajas, and so many other changes were there in the government. And so she was definitely engaged. This is Yamuna in Vrindavan. She started what's called her famous deity book, and this is the next thing that we want to publish. She very carefully, when they arrived in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada told her to study the deity worship at the 6 Goswami temples in Vrindavan. And some of them were kind enough to allow her to see how they dressed the deities. And at that time, many of them still did not use sewn cloth, you see. So if you see pictures of, say, Radha Shyama-Sundar, there's no sewn cloth at this time. It was all wrapped in a particular way, the cloth that he wore. Yamuna learned those styles, and she very beautifully detailed them in her deity book. And this is the front page of the Radharamanji section, and that was where she studied the most. She studied with the Goswamis at Radharamanji temple because they were very favorable to Srila Prabhupada, and they allowed her access to aspects of how they engaged in their puja, how they dressed the deities, all of these things. They gave her more access than she could have hoped for in many ways. They were very kind to her. So we have that deity book, and it's there's some pages from it are included in the book as well. And this is one of them. So she's showing the style of dress the deities are wearing. And while this is up here, let me mention that those of you who get the book, on the web page, all of these pictures will be there, and you'll be able to zoom in on them and look at them. So they can be found at our web page, krishnamagic.com or unalloyed.org. And as well on the web page are all of Yamuna's recordings that we could find of bhajans and kirtans and many talks that she gave as well. So this is all done by just her noting down everything that the deities wore, how they were made, so many things that were to her. You can see the detail, the attention to detail. That this was conspicuous in every aspect of her life and service. Okay. Here's another one of the pieces of the turbans. Each one, she's noted down what they're called and how the deities wear them. Okay? All right. This is a very famous story and an amazing picture. This Srimati Radharani might look familiar to some of you. One time on their travels, they went to South India to stay at the house of a gentleman, Mr. Balu. And Mr. Balu had Radha Krishna deities about 11, 12 inches tall, not large. And beautiful. Yamuna just fell in love with the face of the Srimati Radharani. She was so attached to just looking at her and how beautiful they were. And she had been traveling with these deities that were called Yamuna's deities, and she had 3 outfits made earlier in Vrindavan that she was very attached to. Only 3 changes for the deities, very attached to. So during their stay there, Srila Prabhupada wanted to show gratitude to Mr. Balu. So he said to Yamuna, you give one of the sets of the deities, one of the sets of the outfits to Mr. Balu. And Yamuna was horrified. She had, at that time they had no money, so she had scrimped and saved and done so much just to get the 3 outfits made for the deities. So she thought that she could get around it by just pretending that she didn't hear it, at that time. So everything went well until they were ready to walk out the door, and Srila Prabhupada said, so you have given the outfit? And Yamuna knew then that she was caught. And so she gave one outfit. But in the meantime, she took a picture of this Srimati Radharani and her beautiful face. And when they went to Jaipur to commission the deities of Sri Sri Radha Shyamasundar for the Vrindavan temple, she gave this picture to the Murtiwala and said, I want Srimati Radharani's face to look like this. So you can show the next picture. That is Srimati Radharani when she was installed in Vrindavan. Yeah. So you can see the similarities in the face. Very, very beautiful and unusual. So it turned out to be wonderfully fortunate for all the devotees to have that example. So both of those pictures and a couple of others are shown on the same page there as well. Okay? This is Yamuna and Srila Prabhupada's rooms, cooking for him in his kitchen. And you can see making chapatis here. Okay? And just another wonderful Vrindavan picture, the construction site. And then before she left Vrindavan, she wrote this prayer, which you can go to now. Dear Srila Prabhupada, I cherish these moments in Vrindavan with you. My deepest heartfelt prayer is that I never forget the sweetness you showed me, the instructions you gave to me, and the chastisements you blessed me with. Most of all, may I become strong enough to appreciate them all equally. So I think that Maharaj, would you like to speak, or maybe this would be a good stopping point for this morning, and then you can say something, or no? Sure? What should I do? I mean, I can go on, but I guess I'm just trying to give you a taste of what is to be found in this two-part chronology of the life of Yamuna Devi. It was an extraordinary life. The next part that we get to are, should I go on or should I wait for...
This particular passage that Yamuna Devi wrote, it's beautiful as it stands, but when you read the context in which it was written, it will have a profound effect in your life, because what she passed through, and the challenges and difficulties and tests that she passed in such a glorious way, are between the lines of this statement. And I'm not going to say what it is, because you must read the book. So we'll carry on for the afternoon program with the same format, which is absolutely beautiful. Is everyone happy? You don't sound very happy, please. So my suggestion is we can take some quick Deena Tarini Devi. You can answer some questions now, and then we'll continue the slideshow and the book release at after Arti at 1 o'clock.
Thank you. One thing I wanted to add about the Vrindavan feature, Maharaj may not even have known this, but when I was going through a very difficult time, she had already met Radhanath Swami Maharaj, but when he came again through Vrindavan, she was a little drawn back and not very careful, not to associate too closely with anyone, because she had been through a very, very trying and difficult challenge at that time. And so she had tried to go inward, and she tells the story very poignantly, and its effect on her, and it involved Srila Prabhupada and many aspects of her service in Vrindavan. And again, it's so important because of how she ultimately overcame extraordinary odds. You know, everyone who had a close association with Srila Prabhupada had a different kind of relationship. And many devotees have said that if Srila Prabhupada recognized that you were potentially very serious in your spiritual life, that he would be very strict with you and could chastise you readily. And Yamuna was frequently chastised by Srila Prabhupada, and she tried to take all of those things in and use them, and did use them at later parts of her life. But that is what is so compelling about her life, is going back to the Tattenu Kampam verse, that we will face, we're almost guaranteed that we will face challenges in our life if we are serious in devotional service, because Krishna wants us to grow as devotees. Krishna wants us to mature. And if everything is so easy, it's very difficult to develop a sense of urgency in your devotional life. And therefore, these challenges, if we can learn to see them as opportunities rather than as something that hampers our growth, then they're wonderful, just as Srila Prabhupada said in that lecture. Then they turn into something that is actually a blessing, a great blessing. So Yamuna was able to do that, and that is, more than anything, perhaps her greatest legacy and contribution. So a question? Yeah?
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much for a beautiful presentation.
Hare Krishna.
It seems your friendship with Yamuna Mataji is just growing and growing and growing and growing. And that's been a great source of inspiration for my family and me.
Yes.
Even when we got to serve you in the past.
Yes.
What I would like to hear from you is how you avoided complacency in this friendship, because it's just growing so beautifully. I feel the presence of Yamuna Mataji as you speak about her. Can you please share how you avoided complacency in this relationship?
It's interesting because we had a long discussion with some friends yesterday about that exact, someone asked me that same question. And I joked, but it's a little bit true, that one of the things that I miss most about being with Yamuna day to day was our bickering. You know, because with close friends, you bicker. You know, did you move that chair? No, I didn't move the chair. No, you moved that chair. I saw it was over here. You did it. You know, it's just the ordinary bickering that goes on in any friendship. That's that you have with someone. But it was any bickering, any disagreement that we had, we were very careful to never make it personal. And that's the secret to success in any relationship. In other words, it doesn't become about you. It becomes about what it is that you are disagreeing about, and therefore you keep respect for that person, and you never take them for granted. You never take the fact that you may have 1 or 3 or 5 or 10 people in your life who you can share the innermost depths of your being with, and who will be there for you to encourage you in good times and in bad times, and when you're weak and when you're strong. If you have this, it's the greatest gift, and you have to cherish it like it's irretrievable. And I think we did that in our relationship for 37 years. We never, and if you do that, you never tire of the other person. You never. There's always newness. Yamuna had a wonderful sense of humor that many people got to see, and like Maharaj, she was expert mimic, and she would sometimes walk by a room And I remember even in Melbourne, as sick as she was, she had read something Srila Prabhupada had written about a dog, and she was walking by the room, and I was on the couch, and I was reading something, and I looked up, and she was telling me what Srila Prabhupada wrote, and then she looked at me, and she made the face and the sound of this dog just spontaneously that was so perfect that I completely lost it. Where did you get that face? Where did that come from? How did you manifest that? That it just so spontaneously came. So I would say respect and gratitude, and not taking for granted the great gift if you've been given the opportunity to have close friendships, relationships with your partner or with friends, or especially other Vaishnavas you have Sangha with. Is that okay?
Very much.
Anyone else? No questions? Okay. Do they know where the books are? Oh.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for such a very loving and affectionate presentation.
Thank you.
And we look her at like our mother. So here, your 37 years of relationship with, Mother Yamuna ji. So in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult, even for the husband and wife, to carry on for 37 years of marriage. Now, small things, the counselees or the devotees in the congregation, they get misunderstood, and very fast they break the relationship. Despite the fact that, strong counseling by senior devotees, and to a larger extent sometimes Maharaj also does it, but even then, that Maya plays a very big role, and they spoil the relationship and cut the relationship so fast. Now, please educate us, Mataji, to how to build this relationship and how to forgive and forget. Because our Guru Maharaj mentioned in one of the lectures, if we don't forget and forgive, Krishna will not forgive us. So please enlighten us. Thank you very much.
It's such a difficult problem in this age, because we're confused as to our identity and the roles that we play within relationships. They've changed so much, even from my earliest days in Krishna Consciousness. And one friend was telling me the other day that in the West now, they ask someone, would you like to do this service? And if they say no, would you like to do this service? And when I hear that, I laugh, because we were never given that opportunity. It was, today you're on pot washing duty, and you start at this time and you finish this time. And it was very, very strict and very regulated and constrained. We were constrained by very strict rules in those days, and times are different now. There's so much more independence and desire to have conditions in how we serve. To lay conditions on what we are willing or not willing to do as a service to others. But I think you hit on the answer in your own question by using the word forgiveness. And how many of you find it easy to forgive others? Not many hands are going up. Yeah, very difficult. But we're asked to do things that are difficult, and you make that choice. It's that Srila Prabhupada told Yamuna and myself that we should stay together and serve Krishna for the rest of our lives. Well, we made a choice from the very beginning that that meant that we had to find a way to do that was going to be both amenable and conducive to our growth in Krishna consciousness. And by Krishna's grace, he must have seen that we were very compatible with each other. But even in the closest relationships, things happen where you have to learn to forgive. I can give an example in my own life. My mother, I'm now living in Florida, taking care of her. She's 88 years old and close to leaving this realm. She was never a mother in the true sense of a word. She didn't have time for my brother and I when we were young. And so although I don't have the natural love that a child would have for the mother, I forgave her for what she did in order to allow myself to overcome any inhibitions that might put on my own growth as a devotee and as a person. And therefore forgiveness was essential. Had I not done that, then there would be hardness in the heart that would ultimately impact my own Krishna consciousness. So forgiveness is very important. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Did you find out about the books? Come on, yes, good. Okay. I don't know anything about it. $1,500? Oh, maybe it is. I don't know.
Hare Krishna. So, we have actually three very, very wonderful announcements, two regarding the book. One is that we've had a very, very generous donation from Srinathji Prabhu. So, for the book, due to which the price is 1,500 rupees. Yes, actually, Maharaj mentioned that since the foundation which has been created, they are actually charging 4,500 rupees so that all the surpluses can actually strengthen the corpus for the foundation. But we are selling it at 1,500. Those who can those who can afford at 1,500. But those who cannot, then even at 1,000 rupees, you can take the book. The books are available at the bookstall downstairs. And we've had the first order already. Bansida Prabhu has mentioned to me that he'd like to sponsor 50 books for devotees between Sanpada and Panvel and for his well-wishers. So let us express a gratitude to Srinathji Prabhu and to Bansida Prabhu by loudly chanting Haribo! So the books will actually be available after the launch in the afternoon. However, if those of you who are not going to be here in the afternoon by any reason, for any reason, and would like to register a name, then they will be taking down the names, and you can mention when you can collect the book. It could be next week or during the week also. But of course, if you are here in the afternoon, then that would be the best time, if you can do it post the book launch. So please be here in the afternoon. Now, this is an announcement among two devotees who have come together for their prospective marriage, and very auspicious and also very appropriate that very special devotees have come forward. May I ask Namanand Prabhu to stand up? It's very symbolic that, we look all over the place, but they're right at the feet of Radha Gopinath. So as everyone knows that Namanand Prabhu stays here in the temple. He's been nurtured by Radha Gopinath ji directly, but also his wonderful parents, Krishna and Prabhu Amrita Mataji. He's right now, he did his IIT, B.Tech from IIT Bombay, and then he's doing his PhD in the University of Washington, Seattle. But he's such a humble devotee, especially mentored by Govind Prabhu and the Brahmacharis also. So he had all the protection and all the love and care that anyone could possibly get. And we are also very proud of him. So it's such an inspiration for the next generation. And may I ask Vedashri Mataji to get up, stand up, please. Yeah. Vedashri Mataji is actually, she's done her studies in Mumbai, Ruya College, and MBA also from University of Mumbai. But she comes from a very illustrious family. She's actually the niece of Sankirtan Das Prabhu of Nasik, who's a leading devotee in Nasik. And her family, and they are in the Ayurvedic medicines business, so she's actually helping the family business at the moment in selling Ayurvedic medicines. So both these devotees are here and on a very auspicious occasion in presence of so many wonderful devotees, so many Prabhupada disciples are also here. So please join me in expressing our deep felt gratitude and love and blessings to them, so that they can become extraordinary devotees and real soldiers in the mission of Srila Prabhupada, by loudly chanting Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Hare Krishna.
Please forgive my stumbling attempts to try to convey whatever I said today. I've finally been hit with jet lag, so I said, sit down. I don't know what will come out, but I'm just so grateful to be here and be in your company, and feel blessed and honored. And I thank you for coming, and thank you for hearing so much.